You know what the ideal 6-liter is? A 6-liter that can pull its own engine. This is my new crane truck. As you can see here, I took the dually and I mounted a 7,000 pound Powfinger crane on it. Let me just shut this off real quick. So this was this summer's project. I took the dually, which you might recognize as my RV hauler, because it's a crew cab long box, and I pulled the dually box off the back and mounted a 7,000 pound Powfinger onto there and built a 6-foot flat deck behind it. Of course, I did it with this truck because I'm already running 19.5s with F550 suspension, and it has a ZF6, which PTOs are readily available for ZF6 transmissions. This truck's been basically built for about 3 or 4 months now, and I have used it quite a bit, but I haven't really had a chance just to do a walk around of it. As you can see here, I incorporated the mud flaps and mud flap tags that I had on the box originally. I picked up this crane on Marketplace. It was a typical Facebook Marketplace special, but it was about a perfect size because it did come off of an F550 originally, and it's a 7,000 pound Powfinger with about a 16 foot reach. So it does everything I want, and I can happily, the most I'm going to lift with it is a 5,000 pound C-Can or a 4,000 pound Cat engine, which I've done both already. So yeah, it's pretty appropriate for the size that I need it. It does make the truck a fair bit taller, but that's okay. Now this is a hydraulic crane and it's driven off of the transmission. There is a PTO with a fairly large hydraulic pump. Here you can see we have a high pressure filter I mounted there, so if the pump ever fails, it will keep the debris from reaching the spool valves. As you can see under here, we still got the Bluetooth front drive shaft. That will be getting put in before snowfall, don't worry about that. But we have a cable engaged, married PTO with hydraulic pump there that we're running the lines underneath the cab into the back to run the crane. This is a pretty large hydraulic pump actually for this crane, so it's gonna definitely create all the pressure we should need. Here's our push-pull cable to engage the PTO. I haven't made a mounting plate for that yet, but it will mount somewhere up about there. Pull to engage, push to disengage. This is about the biggest crane I could imagine wanting on a 1-ton pickup. But it will definitely do everything I need, because the most I'm going to be lifting is most of the time just 6 liters or 7.3 engines, or of course the welder, which I lifted today. And it has pretty impressive outriggers for the size of crane. I think we got about a 5-foot outrigger on this side, and about a 4-foot outrigger on this side. We got driver and passenger side controls, which is very nice to have. And as you can see there, we have proportioning valves on our lift cylinders. These are very important safety feature to have on all cranes, especially when you're doing overhead lifting, because if a hose, like a supply hose, blows, it will stop the cylinder from dropping to the ground. And of course, this isn't the early 1900s. These are all double acting cylinders, so there is no gravity down, because gravity down, especially in the cold, is terrible. Some people running new equipment would probably think, oh, this is an old crane. I mean, it's about the same age as the truck. And to me, from all the cranes that I've installed and operated before, this is far newer and nicer than any of them, because I'm a redneck and I only deal with old stuff. Now, this deck didn't turn out quite how I dreamed it would, but what I was going for is I wanted a not ridiculously wide, not ridiculously tall deck. I wanted the smallest deck I could get away with because, yes, for one, I want to be able to put things on the back of it, but you can't put much on the back with that crane without overloading the truck anyways. So a ridiculously big flat deck wasn't needed. What I did need is to be able to pull a trailer behind this, so I do have a 5th wheel hitch that bolts down. But mostly, if I'm hauling something, I'll be bringing a trailer and loading the trailer with the crane and hauling it behind the truck. The most I'm going to be slinging on the deck is maybe a tote slip tank, welder, maybe an engine or two for deliveries. That's about it though. Now, I wanted this to be super low because like this deck height here is only about 3 feet off the ground, which is awesome. So it's super easy to work with. Great workbench, actually almost too low for me. But we have about minimal clearance in there because I used a 2x2 quarter wall subframe for the whole deck and did all of this in 1/4 inch plate. And I was going to do the deck surface in checkered plate too, but if you've ever had to put your knees on checkered plate, you'll know exactly why I didn't do that. And I have a couple 10,000, or no, these are 6,000 pound D-rings, just the little guys, for anything I got to strap down. Got some nice little marker lights. These are impressive off Amazon. They're pretty bright. And at the front here, I had to kind of make something because I have my fuel filler coming through here, and it was very important to me to make sure the fuel filler came straight up because unlike the flat deck on my red truck, it came through the side, and it's really hard to fill that one with a high flow pump nozzle without overflowing. But I wanted to have the fuel filler there and then a space in here. I got to put some plate there still for blocking. So I got my blocking on that side, blocking on this side. It's just kind of sitting in there, but I need to make that close, and then I want to make a box in the center here for either more blocking or for just lifting slings. But it'll just be maybe a lid over the lifting slings to keep them dry, but just basically somewhere to throw stuff like that. When I feel like spending the money, I'll put side boxes on the back corners here just to put more lifting slings and blocking, but that's not a huge concern at this time. I don't have reverse lights yet, but I just did 4-inch LED round markers. These were super easy to cut out. You just use a grinder disc as a stencil, plasma cut them out. Turned out really well. They're nice and bright. What I want to do is either cut a nice recess or put below here some big floodlights as reverse lights, because those little white round lights don't do a damn as reverse lights anyways. I got the 8-bolt to larger 8-bolt to run 19.5s on this because they have a much higher load rating than the stock tires do. My mounting method with this was 1-inch threaded rod with mounting plates, and wow, you would not believe the arguments I got with people over that on Instagram and TikTok. This is how these cranes are mounted. This is how the manufacturer expects them to be mounted. And this is how everyone you ever see mounted by factory will be mounted. High ab, pow finger, fascie, threaded rod with plates through to the frame. That's stacked 1/2-inch plate because I actually just had 1/2-inch plate, and it actually bent when I was picking up a big cat engine. So I stacked it up and now we got 1 inch of backing plate. I don't think I'm gonna bend that. That should be more than enough. I should also probably stop lifting stuff that heavy with it. Nice thing about this truck, see it's hard because ideally what I would do is take an F550 with a 10-foot deck to mount this on, so I could still have 8 foot of deck behind the crane and just a regular cab, so that way I can lift off the front and have farther reach. Only problem with that is a regular cab is terrible for long road trips if I'm going a long ways away with it, and low gearing on an F550 is horrible for long highway drives. So I can put a trailer on there when I need to load a bunch of stuff. I can sleep in the back seat if I'm on a long trip, or I can bring the dogs with me, and I can go highway speed because this truck has 373 gearing. Gotta say, I don't think I'm ever gonna have to lift anything heavy ever again. I'll be using this just to lift up a 50-pound box if I have to. So this is about a 400-degree swing on this thing, meaning it's not a full rotation. Like, you can't just, it doesn't have a swivel, as you can see by those external hydraulic lines. So I can swing right out off the back, and then I can swing all the way around the front, and then about another, I don't know, 60 degrees overlap. So I don't know, I'd say about 400 degrees total, so 40-degree overlap. I do have a high idle control box in here, but since I did the ZF6 swap on this truck, because this was originally an automatic transmission truck, I have a video on the swap I did on this. I haven't been able to get the high idle to work, so going a little bit redneck with the high idle stick to run the high idle for when I'm lifting and want the crane to run faster or work a bit better. I don't have anything really impressive to lift right now, so I'm just gonna make a video of lifting up the welder, I guess. I do pretty severely need a good toolbox because right now all my lifting slings and shackles are just taking up the back seat. No longer high idled. So there ain't really much else to show you other than folding it up and packing everything away. Don't worry, I'll fix that. And we gotta disconnect our PTO. Can't really do this. The dually is now a crane truck.